Greetings to our colleagues and friends from civil society and stakeholder partners for the UN Network on Migration. My name is Monami Molik, and I am with the Secretariat of the UN Network on Migration and serving as a civil society and stakeholder liaison. And we're very happy today to hold a second training on the UN Network Migration Hub. We held one just a few weeks ago at the outset of Migration Week in February. And we had a request particularly to hold this training at a time that is more convenient specifically to the Asia Pacific region and some other regions. So we're happy to do that and have interpretation, as Ben just noted. So the bulk of today's training purpose is to really share information with you about the Migration Network Hub and how you as civil society and other stakeholder organizations can best utilize the hub. We've had a number of questions from civil society and stakeholders about the platform, the way to use the technology. And so today we have with us the experts from the hub team who will give you the full training and overview. And then we'll open up for the most of the meeting to hear from you, to hear your questions and your comments. And before I turn it over to Bethany for the training on the hub itself, I just want to remind that, of course, with the coming of the International Migration Review Forum very soon in the month of May, the usage of the hub is more critical than ever. And we, to that end, just recently launched a discussion space on the hub on the progress declaration, which is to be the outcome document from the first International Migration Review Forum. Stakeholders, as well as member states and UN entities, will have the opportunity to comment on that discussion space on what your recommendations, your analysis, your thoughts are in terms of the priorities of thematic areas, GCM objectives, and the progress and challenges and how to address them in implementation of the Global Compact on Migration. So that's one example of the strategic moment now to really make use of the hub. But there are many others as well, and data and information, collections of practices and policy assessments from your expertise as civil society and stakeholders is very important to share in service of the International Migration Forum and beyond towards the realization of the Global Compact on Migration. So with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Bethany Dornathern, who will be giving us a 15-minute or so training and overview of the various aspects of the hub. Bethany, please go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here today from the Hub team to welcome you to use the Hub more frequently and to show you a little bit about how best to engage. So hopefully you can see my tablet now. Apologies, I can't see it. Here we go. So I'm going to run over the main features of the hub, how you can use them, and as Wanami mentioned, in particular, the opportunities in the run-up to the IMRF, where you can engage in the process via the hub. And then the main purpose of today is to really open the floor to you, to give you the opportunity to ask any questions you might have about the hub, be they technical questions or more substantive questions about possibilities for engagement. So do have your questions ready for us. To give you some background about the hub was called for in the Global Compact for Migration. It calls specifically for capacity building, as part of the capacity building mechanism, a knowledge platform and a connection hub. So that has been rebranded as the Migration Network Hub, but it includes these features a platform for knowledge sharing, sharing information, resources, experience and lessons learned, and a hub for connecting with others who are working on GCM implementation in order to learn from one another. The little diagram there shows that it's chaired by IOM's Global Migration Data Analysis Center in Berlin, and we receive support and work very closely together with the Migration Network Secretariat, and the members of the core working group are very diverse, including UN agencies, international organizations, academia, and think tanks. So we launched almost a year ago, so it's really in its initial stages at the moment. We're continuously expanding the features that are available, and we very much rely on you to let us know new features that you would find interesting, new content that you would appreciate. And we currently have a survey. I think Alex will share the link in the chat so you can easily click on it. But with the survey, we're collecting feedback from users on how they use the hub currently and what more they would like to see. So that will really set the direction for the development going forward up to and following the IMRF. So I encourage you to express your views both here in the webinar and also in the survey. And we're very excited to start engaging with you more on your views on what we should put in the hub. So for the past year, we've been building the knowledge base. We've gathered more than 1,000 resources. All of the resources are reviewed by our peer reviewers. We have a team of over 100 peer reviewers who are experts in the different objectives of the GCM and the different guiding principles. So up until now, we've had 3 experts review each resource before it's published on the hub. And for that reason, the content that's in there is very high quality. What you'll find is all indexed and tagged and has been verified as relevant, recent, and important in relation to the GCM. So I encourage you to explore the resources. There, we have an expert database with more than 1,000 experts. This is a partnership with EMISCO, the Migration Research Network. And so those experts are gathered across the world and expert again in the objectives of the GCM. We have a project database, and most recently, we've launched the practice database. So here you may have seen during Migration Week, we're gathering practices from any stakeholders, any member states, anyone implementing a project or other initiative related to GCM implementation. And again, each practice is peer reviewed. And the real value of the practices is that there's a lot of lessons learned, recommendations. They're not just project profiles, but there's some analysis and recommendations there for how to replicate those practices. So I encourage you to visit the practice repository. We also have discussion spaces. Manami mentioned the current one on the IMRF, and I'll explain later how to access those. We have events, and finally, a number of videos. So this is the hub. Hopefully you've been able to visit. It's accessed via the network's website. And there are a couple of prominent links to the hub. When you reach the landing page, you'll see there are some filters across the top where you can search the content by GCM objective. And also by cross-cutting theme. So if you start typing in the chat, for example, human rights, all of the content will come up, and you can also refine that search by region or by country. You'll also see from the landing page, you can access all the different parts of the hub. So the discussion spaces, the experts roster, and the other features that I've mentioned. So this is where to come and find all of the content. So taking the discussion spaces first, when you click on discussion spaces, you'll see this grid, which features the top themes currently for this year, as selected by the Network Secretariat, as well as a focus on the IMRF. And that's where you can access the discussion space that Manami mentioned on the current consultation on the IMRF. There's also currently live a discussion space on missing migrants, moderated by the Missing Migrants Program at IOM, as well as the ICRC. And this is in the run-up to the first webinar, which is focus on missing migrants, but there's a series of webinars coming up in the run-up to the IMRF. So I encourage you to visit this discussion space, respond to the questions, share your ideas, and the webinar on the 8th of March will also feature some of the speakers in the discussion space. When you click on Expert Database, you'll see this page. And as you can see, you can search the database of experts by their areas of expertise, by the type of organization they work for, whether it's for an NGO or for an academia or for a think tank. And you can also search by the country in which they're located, as well as the regional or country-specific expertise. When you log in to register to the hub, you can also contact them directly via this database. So if you need to get in touch with an expert on a specific theme, you can do that here. Finally, the repository of practices, which was just launched in February during Migration Week, is where you can both explore the practices we've published so far. It's 33 to date, and you can also submit your own practice. So again, we really count on you as the stakeholders to submit the practices you're working on here, and just share your experiences and lessons learned with the community. As you can see, so far, the geographic spread is relatively balanced, fewer in Europe, but some in Latin America, Africa, and we're really looking for that geographic balance. And we really value the diversity of the stakeholders group, and we hope that you'll be able to publish your practices here in order to ensure that we have examples from all the 23 objectives of the GCM. This is what a practice profile looks like. This is an example submitted from Tunisia. As you can see, we include the GCM objectives that are being targeted, the key benefit and impact which has been seen from the implementation of the practice, the key lessons that have been learned, and the recommendations that the practice implementers would give to anyone looking to scale up or replicate this type of practice in their country or region. We also show what sustainable development goals the practice is targeting, and there's a number of additional resources that have been shared by the practice, documentation, links to their websites, videos. So there's a wealth of information here for you to explore. In order to submit a practice, we invite you to click submit, where you'll see a video that you can watch to learn exactly how to submit the practice. We've produced a guide, which you can download first in order to understand what we're looking for and what to bear in mind when you're drafting your practice profile. There's a template in Word so that you can already fill the profile out and share it with colleagues and other partners in the initiative before you actually come here online and submit it via the form. We've tried to keep it as simple and user-friendly as possible, but we're always here if you need any help or advice on how to submit your practice, especially if you have any issues with uploading it. So finally, in order to access these features, you have to log in and create an account. So if you click on the menu on the right-hand side, this is the more functional menu where you can join the hub, sign in. We also have help videos there. So you can watch a video to see exactly how to do things like reset your password, submit resources, submit events, submit projects, upload videos. And you can even propose an online discussion space if you'd like to co-host a discussion on a particular topic. So all of those are accessible there. And do let us know if you need any help with that. So finally, these are the main areas where you can engage with the hub, especially in the run-up to the IMRF. This is just a quick summary. So number one is this is public, so anyone can search the hub for content. All of the content is public and users can explore it. Point two, once you register and create a user profile on the hub, then you have access to the more interactive dynamic features. So after logging in, you can submit your practices, as I mentioned. You can join in the online discussions by posting comments and responses to the questions. You can post your own events. You can upload your own content from your organization. And you can also apply to become one of the 100 peer reviewers who review and verify the content which goes into the hub. You can also apply to become an expert in the expert roster via the UNESCO database. So we really hope that you'll create an account and start to engage via these various channels. So overall, our motto at the hub is knowledge for all, impact for all. The hub can only be as good as the content which is provided, and we really hope that we're offering you a gateway to participate in these various processes, from the online discussions to the practice repository to featuring the content from your organization, advertising, events that you might be holding in the run-up to the IMRF. So do get in touch with us. This is our email address, and this is the link to the hub. We're a small team, but we're available to help you in any way you need. And as I mentioned, we're always looking for feedback in ways that you might want to use the hub. It's your platform, so let us know how you'd like to use it. With that, I'll hand the floor back to Manami, and also looking forward to hearing your feedback and your suggestions and questions in the Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bethany, for that very comprehensive overview. I hope that was helpful for the participants on the call. At this point, we would like to open it up to hear your questions or comments on what Bethany has just reviewed. I do have a number of participants today who have already asked to take the floor. I have a list of speakers who'd like to ask questions, but in any case, please go ahead and use the raise your hand function in order to make a comment or ask a question, and I'll call on you as I see. So we'll get started with Ilana Wong from the major group on children and youth. Ilana, please go ahead.
Thanks very much, Manami, and thank you so much, Bethany, for that very, very useful overview. We already have our hub logins, but it's great to see a proper explanation of what the functions are, and we'll definitely be making use of it, particularly the best practices function, and I think that'll be a great place to showcase a lot of the work that youth are doing. I have a quick question on the resources submission. I know a lot of our youth groups, including ourselves, run a lot of consultations and findings and research. But of course, we are also a volunteer-run group mostly, and most of our network are made up of grassroots organizations. I was wondering if you had or was planning to publish any advice in terms of like the quality standards and advice on how grassroots organizations who perhaps don't have whole research teams doing these sort of things can make sure that we adhere to those and make sure things are of a sufficient standard to publish to the platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ilana. I think a very important question for a lot of organizations that are have challenges on capacity. Bethany, if it's okay, maybe I'll take 2 or 3 questions and then come back to you. Okay, wonderful. So I see Shata Naji, and then Michael Kundukutu. So if you can please go ahead and take the floor, and then we'll go back to Bethany. Shatha, please go ahead.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to participate with you. I am from Iraq, from the Women for Peace organization. The organization works in this field. My question is related to, or I had a question about how to use the hub, but now everything is clear. But as members, are we considered members of this hub, and how can we join this hub? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Naji. We will come back to you. Mr. Richard Obedi, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Manami. Yes, Richard Obedi is my name, from Uganda, Kampala. Yes, I had a challenge with the whole migration hub, but I must thank the team at your secretariat there. They managed to help me because I think my identity was hijacked, but then they gave me a password which I used to log in and then create my profile. I've already created it successfully, and thank you for the team, the technical team that managed to make me go through that. And then with now the training, I'll be able to contribute, especially some of the resources and the discussion platform, giving views on what we are doing, especially in the region and the continent. Thank you for this opportunity. I was worried that I missed the first training, but then when I saw this mail, I immediately registered. And thank you, Madam Monani, for this.
Thank you very much, Richard. Bethany, maybe we come back to you with the few questions we have so far.
Yes, thank you for the questions. First of all, Elana's question on how to submit your content. We do have guides on some of the main criteria for submitting resources. They're mainly based on relevance to the DCM objectives, recent. So in general, the content we're gathering is post-adoption of the Global Compact for Migration. That was in December 2018. So we can share the link to that criteria, but we don't have a dedicated guide on the quality standard and how to ensure that your content meets that standard. But it's definitely something that we'll look into now and we'll look at providing. So thank you very much for the suggestion and for describing that need. But feel free to already start submitting content and then we can also use that to guide us in providing that guidance. Ms. Naji, I'm really glad that the presentation helped today for you to see how to engage with the hub and the different functionalities and features that there are. In terms of membership, the hub is open for anyone to join who's working on the GCM. So to join the hub, you just click on sign up and then you can register. And as Richard mentioned, we do vet the members. It's a minimum check to check your identity, and there's an email authentication. It's basically just to prevent spam on the platform and to ensure that you're joining the right space, that you're indeed interested in the DCM and working on DCM implementation. But it's a very quick verification, and it just means that then we're also in touch with you and we can help you with any issues you might be having when logging in. So do try and register yourself. Just click on sign up, and if you have any problems at all, then please do reach out to us, and we can also help you to sign up. Last question from Richard. I guess it wasn't really a question, but just that you're now able to access the hub now, so that we're really pleased about that. And please do go ahead and start using the features and especially the discussion spaces. And do again be in touch if we can help any further.
Thank you, Bethany. So we'll go to the next set of questions we have coming in. So first, I'd like to call on Michael Kandukutu. I see that you're still there, Michael, from the African Trade Unions on Migration. Michael, are you there?
Yes, good morning and good afternoon. I'm not sure what time of the day it is where you are. I wanted to check on whether or not the Migration Hub can actually assist me in tracking success stories in terms of implementation of the Global Compact for Migration, or whether or not it can assist me in also looking at, emerging trends in terms of the implementation of the GCM resolutions or articles. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael. I'd like to next call on Fatou Jagne. and then Kennedy Achakoma. Fatu, please go ahead.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. It's Fat Jain from the Gambia, a survivor of human trafficking. I always appreciate that you give me the platform to join you people. Okay. Yes, I have. Today is my first day of using laptop and coming to Zoom. I always use my phone, which I'm very, very happy of. I use the hub, but sometimes, like all the time when I comment or reply to the comments, I don't see my comment. And as a survivor who followed all these platforms, just for me to learn stuff from it, I will really, really appreciate if I have that access to stand for the survivors and victims of human trafficking and migration, to be able to comment, contribute, and do, because I really appreciate the opportunity you people gave to me, but I also want like where I can see whatever I am doing. I also have a documentary that I want to share with you people. In 2020, when I was bringing some other survivors or victims of human trafficking from another country, I want to share it, but I cannot share it. Yeah. One of my achievements, I mean.
Thank you very much, Fatu. And I think we'll communicate a few ways. Maybe we can share your videos and resources, whether it's the hub or even with the network in general. And next, I'd like to call on Kennedy Achakoma, and then we'll come back to Bethany.
From Ghana. Can you hear me? I think that most of my problems are in my face.
Mr. Achakoma, if you can speak louder, it's very difficult to hear you.
Can you hear me?
That's better. Yes, thank you.
I said most of my problems have been addressed by this training, and I want to thank the team behind the training, particularly with regards to the issue on data and the issue of best practices, which can be brought to bear in terms of national dynamics. From today, I think with regular usage, you can become an expert and be able to contribute whatever information you have from your country. But my question had to do with if you could go back to how you can apply to become an expert with regards to specific areas concerning the compact. That is my issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bethany, we'll come back to you with those few questions.
Thank you again for those questions.
شكرا على هذه الأسئلة.
Going back to Michael's question on can the Migration Hub assist in tracking success stories in terms of implementing the GCM and also emerging trends? Yes, we very much hope that the practice repository will be a place that you can come to find that kind of information. We've had more than 100 practices submitted so far in the last couple of weeks since it launched. So we're very hopeful that in the run-up to the IMRF over the next 2 months, we'll receive many more. As I mentioned, we're reviewing all of them. So to make sure that the profiles are complete, all the information that you need is there. Where not everything is there, we're going back to the people that have submitted and asking them to fill the gaps. So we hope this means that it's comprehensive in terms of the description of the practice and the reasons why it's working, what issues they've encountered, and exactly how they're implementing and what the focus is on, also with the background resources and ability to contact those people implementing the practice. So we really hope that you'll find that useful as a way of tracking the success stories related to each of the DCM objectives, and also it will highlight the emerging trends. So as I mentioned, we've only reviewed 33 so far, so we're moving quickly to make sure that all the rest are also online for you to review. And we'll shortly be launching a dashboard where you can sort by the different objectives, see how many there are by region and by country, and you'll be able to see that increase over time. So that's really one of the main features of the hub in terms of showing that. As the GCM itself, it doesn't have targets and indicators in the same way as something like the SDGs, but by coming to the hub, you'll be able to have a glimpse of the GCM in action and actually see that what's happening on the ground in terms of the most recent implementation. So Michael, I hope that's helpful for you and for many others. Fatu, thank you so much for coming to the Hub and participating in the activities, the webinars and the other discussions. In terms of the comments in the discussion spaces, I hope that you've been able to see those. If not, we'll be in touch directly to see if you're having any issues with posting comments or what's happening there. So we'll be in touch directly. And as Manami mentioned, we can also share the best channels to share your documentaries, your videos, and your other resources, both on the Hub and also with the network in other forums. But thank you so much for visiting the Hub, and I'm glad that the laptop is making that easier. Finally, Kennedy, you asked about how to apply to become an expert in the different areas of the GCM. As I mentioned, there's two different rosters. There's our peer review roster. So we have about 100 volunteers who are experts in different areas of the GCM, and they've offered to help us review the content that's submitted by users to the Hub before it's approved for publication. So that's the quality check we have for all of the content and all of the comments and all of the practices that are submitted to the Hub. So you can apply via the Hub to join that roster. We also have the experts database, so that's more than 1,000 experts. That's a partnership we have with the MISCO, the Migration Research Network. And so if you click there is also a link to apply to join that expert database. And there you just have to fill out your profile and describe your areas of expertise. You also have the opportunity to upload or link to your research and your publications. So there are those two different avenues. I think Alex has also just put the links in the chat, so you can find the two different links to apply. And we really welcome you and all the other stakeholders on the call and beyond to apply to join those two different rosters, in particular because the Migration Research Hub has a large number of academics and researchers, and we also want to find expert practitioners, those working for NGOs and other stakeholder organizations, and expand that balance from academia to also practitioners working on implementing GCM directly and learn from their experiences. So thank you very much for that question, Kennedy, and I hope that's useful. Over.
Thank you very much, Bethany, and specifically for that last point on the desire to diversify the experts roster with also the expertise that many of your organizations of civil society, trade unions, and others have. So I see two hands up, and then I'm going to call on another person from my list. So if we can first hear from Mr. Mohammed Almaita, followed by Sheku Bangura, and then I'll call on Ms. Susan Akram from Boston University, who I think is still with us. Mr. Mohammed Almaita, please go ahead.
شكرا مساء الخير جميعا.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mohammed Al-Maita, and I work with the Arab Federation of Trade Unions. It's the regional representation of trade unions in the Arab region. I am very pleased and happy to be given once again the opportunity to understand how to sign in and register with the Hub, particularly since we missed the first opportunity. And even during the session now, I registered my organization. We signed in, and this is an exceptional opportunity. What I would like to say is that as Arab trade unions, this is something new for us to work on issues related to migrant laborers from the perspective of trade unions. We have been active for about 4 or 5 years only. So this is a novelty for us. It's an exceptional opportunity for us, especially since we are looking to empower migrant laborers in the Arab regions and develop the legislations in line with the vision of the GCM. to have a database, to have a repository and a glossary and a list of experts would be an added value, particularly if we're working on preparing policy papers and amending the legislations in the GCC countries, especially since this is a region that receives a wide number of migrants. Thank you very much once again, and I wish you full success, and I hope that we will cooperate more in the future. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Mr. Almeida, and happy to have your trade unions on board with the hub. Next would be Ms. Sheku Bangura. And if you can say the name of your organization and where you are joining us from.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. My name is Sheku Bangura, founder and executive director, Advocacy Network Against Irregular Migration of Sierra Leone. I'm so delighted to be part of this training session today because for a while, I've been finding it very difficult for me to access the hub and how to use it, and more especially when I want to add my videos, my activities in the hub, it's very, very difficult for me. But as far as today, I've seen that the presentation and the session, I thought I've started to learn something, and I believe I would make a very good use of it. And also, I don't know how best this hub and we are able to collaborate and all partnership work together with this network on migrations, because we are dealing purely on migration. That is our area of operation. In fact, myself here, I was once a victim of irregular migrations, and once I went through what I have seen, that makes me, when I return back home, let me form this organization so that I will inform my colleagues, young people, not to embark on the same journey. So I went on and registered my organizations. I make it a very, very, very legal entity and have my office. Then what I do, I brought all migrants together to my office so that we have our activity plan. We go out there, try to sensitize, educate people. Then we are doing it in different forms. Then currently we are working together with IEM in Sierra Leone, wherein they give us our project name, Migrant as Messengers, wherein we inform young people throughout the country here so about the dangers of irregular migration, and also how can we implement this global compact of migration principles. And also we have a lot of sessions with IEM, and I thought I've learned something from them, and also want to learn something again with this migration network, because I'm sure they have a lot of connections which I want my organization to be part of. And quite recently, I thought invited again to this global compact on migration, this international review. My organization is part of it. I will just receive letters from Foreign Affairs that I should take part on the international review forum USA. So I've received that package, which is a very good advantage for me. And I want to make I want to make good use of it, and I want to be partner with the International Network of Migrations, and I want to see that I do my best to see that we minimize or we abolish the issue of irregular migrations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bangura. And I can say a little bit more about the International Migration Review Forum at the end. I see a hand from Sira Mekeshvili, and I'd also wanted to see if Ms. Susan Akram is on the line and would ask the question after Sira. Please go ahead, Ms. Mekeshvili.
Здравствуйте, я не владею английским, можно по-русски я буду?
Yes, unfortunately, I don't speak English. I hope I can speak Russian here.
Yes.
Well, hello everyone. I apologize first of all for being late. In fact, I mixed up the hours, for which I apologize. Well, I would like, first of all, to express my admiration for the work you have done and for the hub, because this hub enables ourselves and other partner organizations to get a wealth of information in the respective areas that you have just highlighted. Our organization is called Tolerant. It is located in Georgia, at the border between two countries, Georgia and Turkey, and we have been actively involved in the issues of migration over the years. And I'm very happy to join the expanded family of organizations who are working on migration via the hub. And I express a hope for future fruitful cooperation with our partners. Again, thank you very much. And obviously, we will take part in any upcoming trainings or webinars that may be organized within the hub. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe we'll just take one more from Mr. Castro Abdullah, who's had his hand up, and then come back to you, Bethany. Mr. Abdullah?
صباح الخير.
Good morning. My name is Gabdo Abdallah. I am the president of the Lebanese Federation for Trade Unions. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for your interest in this subject. I have some quick comments. Maybe we need also that Arabic is also available because we talk about migration, and the Arab world receives a huge number, maybe the highest number of migrants, particularly if we take into consideration irregular labor, particularly domestic workers, and many other sectors like construction, etc. We also are a country or a region of origin for skilled migration to the EU and other regions. So this is why we needed to focus on this importance. What you are presenting is highly important, but my first comment is to provide the information in Arabic, because as organizations, it's important for us to have access to this information and to publish it. So I hope that this will be available. Also, in addition to the crisis today, the many economic crises that we are facing, and also the upcoming negative repercussion of the events and the wars unfolding in the region. So the issue of migrants and migrant labor becomes more important. There should be more flexibility in dealing with these issues, and we need to work on reinforcing and capacity building for the NGOs, for the civil society, CSOs, especially also governmental institutions, and learning how to deal with these issues and to have the necessary tools and understanding of addressing this issue, because there are different approaches, different legislation, different laws in the regions. There is a lack of implementation of the GCM. And once again, I apologize if I took too long, but I think that this is very important. So I hope that you would give us next time more time to discuss together issues that are more vital for us. Thank you once again. What you are doing, this exercise is an excellent exercise. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullah. And do remember that, we have an open door. If you, after this webinar today, if you'd like to have a direct conversation with colleagues at the Hub or at the Network Secretariat, just do let us know. We'd be happy to talk to trade unions or the others that are interested in doing so. We'll put our email addresses in the chat. I'll turn it over to Bethany and just remind everyone that after Bethany gives some responses, we will come back to maybe one or two more questions before we wrap up today's training. When we do come back, I do want to call on some people who are on my list, just to make sure I don't forget you. Philus Yandono from the Manpower Agency in Indonesia, as well as Susan Akram from Boston University's International Human Rights Clinic, and Albana Laknouri from the Chamber of Commerce in Albania. If you're here, please get ready. I'll call on you just after Bethany. Bethany, please go ahead.
Thank you, Monami. So thank you again for those questions, and I'm glad that you're finding the hub useful so far. And as Monami said, do stay in touch with us. The door is open to discuss how else you can use the hub better. To Mr. Almeida, that's great that you were able to register your organization during this webinar. We'll check that everything is activated and you're able to start sharing your content. We hope that you can find content of interest on the platform that will support you in your work, but equally we invite you to upload the work you're doing, either in the form of a practice which describes your work, or some of the resources that you have. In terms of the last question on Arabic, the hub is Arabic ready, so to speak. You can upload content in Arabic, and we have, wherever any Arabic translations are available of the content we have included those. So everything is accessible. So do please, don't feel limited by language, and do feel free to upload that content, Mr. Almeida. You might also be interested in maybe proposing a discussion space on the topic of trade unions and in relation to the GCM. So we can discuss with you. 2 weeks ago, we launched the hub in French and Spanish. You may have seen at Migration Week. And so we are moving towards the other UN languages. But as I said, it's Arabic ready, it's Russian ready, it's Chinese ready. So we do have some content there, and we're expanding more features of the hub into those languages. But do toggle the language buttons and you'll see the French and Spanish versions of the hub. Mr. Bangura, again, you said that you've been using the hub and finding it useful. We're having some difficulties uploading your videos and other activities. So again, we're happy to speak to you directly about those issues. It can be hard sometimes with content with a higher size to upload it. We generally ask for you to share links to the videos from elsewhere, but we can discuss those technical details with you bilaterally. So please do get in touch, or I'll get in touch with you after the call. But again, do share details of your organization, and I really encourage you to upload a practice profile to the repository to describe the work that you're doing and how others can maybe learn from it and replicate it. I saw that the organization is also in Ghana. So yeah, do share those lessons learned and recommendations from your side, because that's really the purpose of the hub, and is allowing others to learn from you. Finally, Ms. Meshkishvili, thank you. Again, you said that you found the hub interesting. We hope that you'll be able to start using it. Let us know if you're able to log in and start collaborating. I think you're a bit late, so do encourage you to check out the online discussion forums. In addition to trainings and webinars, we have these discussion spaces where you can share your comments, your feedback on questions related to the IMRF and the GCM, and also the practice repository. You might want to share the work of your organization there so others can learn from you. We'll be sharing these links after the call, so you'll be able to have a review of all the different channels where you can input and learn from. And finally, Mr. Abdallah, as I mentioned, we do encourage you to add your content in Arabic, and there is some content there already in Arabic. So do take a look, and we'll be sending alerts in the future once the hub is available in those languages. We also hope to have more regional capacity. So we should have more content focused on the region. We started at the global level, and then we're gradually adding more content from different regions, and we really rely on you to share that content. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Bethany. In the remaining few minutes, I will call on those who haven't spoken yet. And if you could keep your question or comment brief, so Bethany can also respond, and we can close the session in about 10 minutes. So I see Mr. Phileas Yandono is here. If you can go ahead, then followed by Susan Akram, if you are here, and Albana Laknouri. Please go ahead, Mr. Yandono.
Thank you, Ms. Monami, for this opportunity. I'm from the employment agency, actually for the private sector. I think this hub is very useful for us to have a feedback and to give us some information and a good practice so we can improve our service and protection for the migrant workers that we place to abroad. As we know, Indonesia is one of the sending countries. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Monami. Hope I can get more information and more practice for enhance our service. Thank you.
We look forward to working with you, Mr. Yandono. Ms. Susan Akram, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you for the opportunity. And I have two issues. One is a bit of an existential one. And the other, I think, is quite easy to address. We at the Boston University Human Rights Clinic work on a very broad range of issues that cross the migration and the refugee fora. So our big problem in connecting with the Migration Hub is that we are working on migrant disappearances in Central America, in the United States. We're working on statelessness across the Middle East and North Africa. We're working on Tibetan and Palestinian advocacy, which has to do with statelessness, migration, and refugees. And so the compartmentalization of the two compacts is really the existential problem that we're having in terms of really deeply connecting with one or other of the fora. So I don't really know if there's an answer to that, but it's rather a problem for us to compartmentalize because it's also sort of an issue for the communities that we represent. The narrowness of the definitions is a human rights problem. So I don't know if you can give us some advice about how to connect the different aspects of our work and what makes sense rather than us to make very narrow decisions about what we should share with the Migration Hub and what we should be focusing on with our refugee and with our statelessness network compatriots. So that's number one. The second is I actually have not registered because it's a bit of a bottleneck for us. And I wanted to know if we register as an organization, can my students share material? Does it all have to come from me? Is it simply one password? And maybe that's an easy question. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan, I think for those very important questions. And then lastly, from Ms. Albana Laknouri, and then we'll turn it back to Bethany. Please go ahead. We cannot hear you. If you can unmute yourself.
Sorry, my mistake. Thank you very much for inviting me and for inviting our institution in this hub. We are living in difficult times, to tell the truth, and it is needed this. It's very needed. But what I need to know is how it will work, this hub, because I don't have so much information. We know that the Chamber of Commerce is involved in this migration process because we have our government who invited us. How can we help? Or how can we include it? How it will be the strategy of this? How will work? This is my idea. I'm available anytime. You have my email. To help and to be included in this project that is, I'm seeing, worldwide developed. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Laknouri. Bethany, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Monami. Thank you, everyone. First of all, Mr. Yandono, thank you for joining us today and for joining the hub. We're looking forward to your participation on the platform. We hope that you can find the information that you need to help you improve your services. But we're actually trying to expand more the participation of the private sector and others in the hub. So we're also happy to speak to you and see if you're finding what you need, or if there's other information that we can be putting there. Equally, we encourage you to share information on your organization and your work and what you're doing. As I said, either the resources that you have that you could make available for others via the hub, or a description of the work you do and the help you provide to the migrants that you place abroad, that maybe others can learn from and replicating your work. So do get in touch with us, and we can help you to do all of those things. So thank you. Ms. Akram, on the existential issue, yes, I mean, the hub is only a reflection of the Global Compact itself. And we have the same struggles ourselves, for example, with practices that are submitted to the repository. They may cut across different types of definitions of migrants and refugees. And so in those circumstances, we include what's useful, what's relevant to the GCM, and where it's fundamentally only working with refugees. In that case, the practice, we referred it to the other good practice database. So it's difficult, and I appreciate that. I'm sure your capacities are limited to try and input into both sides at the same time. But maybe we can speak to you about how best to engage more on the hub side, and see how we can help make sure that you can do that in a way that isn't too onerous in terms of having to share with both different websites. For the registration, that's an important question. So in general, the hub is open to individuals to register. So your registration is not based on your organization, and it works a bit like LinkedIn, if you're familiar with that. So your students would register as well as individuals, and your organization would all be linked up. So it would be visible in your user profile on the hub which organization you work for, and the other colleagues who work with you. So they wouldn't need to submit things through you. They could submit things directly. And actually the name of the user doesn't appear with the resource, just the organization which submitted it. So I think it should be quite user friendly for you. So do go ahead and subscribe, and your students can also subscribe, and we can support you directly in submitting resources or engaging in the discussions directly. The discussion spaces do show the individual names. So when you post a comment in a discussion space, it's not as your organization, it says as you as an individual, if that makes sense. Do you have any follow-up questions on that?
Thank you, that's very useful. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Laknouri, we're happy to discuss with you the best ways that you can engage with the hub as the Chamber of Commerce. From our side, we see your role as accessing information in the hub that you might find useful, learning from other countries, and also sharing back your experience. So sharing the work you're doing with migrants, the challenges that you've encountered, any resources that you've produced. And you can also engage in the online discussions and thereby the process in the lead up to the International Migration Review Forum. There's currently a consultation ongoing with a discussion space. We also have a discussion space on missing migrants. So there are various channels that you can engage, but again, do be in touch if you have particular questions. If you're not sure if something's useful to share, or if you're looking for something in particular, just reach out to us. But again, welcome to the hub, and we're looking forward to seeing your engagement on the platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bethany. And I think there's bells behind me, so you may not be able to hear me. Do you have any closing comments before we close off?
Yes, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for your interest and enthusiasm today in the hub. We really want to activate it and make it a very dynamic, useful space for everyone. And as I said, the main message is that this is your platform. So feel free to use it how you wish, to share the information that you have to share. And when there's something there that you can't find or a feature that you think would be useful to add, please just reach out to our team. You should receive all the links to follow. But thank you again. Thanks, Manami. Over to you.
Thank you, Bethany, and hopefully others can hear me at the moment, but thank you all for joining. And we do encourage you, given the upcoming International Migration Review Forum, to please have a look at the discussion spaces, particularly those related to the IMRF and the Progress Declaration, because we do want to hear your thoughts on the outcomes of the forum. And as you know, the declaration will be adopted on the last day of the IMRF on the week of the 17th of May. And now is the time to really share recommendations and analysis and information from your expertise and your organizations. Thank you very much again. And we've shared a lot of links in the chat, so please do reach out to us for bilateral discussions or follow up on any of the matters that were brought up today. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. شكرا جزيلا. نتمنى اللقاء قريبا.
Thank you very much. We hope to see you all very soon.